Hey there, everyone. Just fixing the camera. You never know how these lives are going to look. Steve Gonzer, physical therapist with Run Smart Online. We're getting ready. We're about 10 days out from the Midfoot project. I have no idea if everyone can see me, so I'm going to take a look. The Midfoot project is starting soon here. And I want to talk to you because I'm getting some feedback on like, oh, should I barefoot run? What about my sneakers? Does this make a difference? So over the last 10 years, I've been working with runners to help them improve their run form. And there's a bunch of different things that we work on, but one of the biggest questions we get is about shoes and barefoot running, because we went through this huge stage of like a barefoot running movement. So I'm not a big advocate for barefoot running, and I want to tell you why. Because you can, or minimalist running, depending on your foot strike, but changing your shoes to improve your run form, I think, is just garbage. There's a lot of companies that have come along touting that, and they ended up, having to kind of collapse a little bit because it's just not supported. So your movement is really based off of your habits. So changing your shoe, and I'm going to show you here in a minute why this doesn't make a difference, and that if you're going to try to get away from heel striking, you don't need to throw on some 5 fingers or to go run barefoot. Because when you do that, you're risking a lot of injuries, particularly to the Achilles tendon and the foot itself, plantar fascia, stress reactions, stress fractures, things like that. So let me show you why your shoes don't matter, because this is one of the things that most people talk about. Now, this is a part of the process or the training we have coming up called Midfoot Project. If you want more details on that, go to midfootproject.com and you can learn more. So if we just look at the run cycle, hopefully you guys can see me. If you can, just please write yes in the comments and let me know that. But let's say I'm going to take my right leg here. I'm going to push off and I'm going to swing it through. Now, obviously, this right leg is off the ground, so your shoe really isn't going to dictate your motion or your movement at all. As this leg swings through, now when we look at a heel striker, they do this, and they take that leg, they fully extend it out, and they end up coming in to the ground with a straight leg. You can hear that pounding on the treadmill, and they land right onto the bones. They take the thigh bone, the shin bone, they extend them, and they crash them into each other. If you think about the shoe for a second, the error in run form that people are making is when the foot's off the ground. They have taught themselves to overextend that leg all the way out. And by teaching themselves to do that, that is the movement error that they've now adopted. So if you go ahead and say, oh, I'm going to put a minimalist shoe on. We see this all the time. People go to like a flat racer or some kind of run form shoe that could help their run form. They still do this, and they crash into their heel because the error is in the swing. They're not teaching themselves how to land softly. Now, the interesting thing is that people then went to like this huge movement of barefoot running, and let me show you what that looks like. So obviously you just run barefoot, but from a run form perspective, this is what we typically see is we want to take someone from a heel strike to learning how to midfoot. Now the midfoot strike, my socks don't really show really well here. Let's do this. No black toenails yet. The season's just starting for me. We want to teach people how to land with their whole foot engaging and on a bent knee. That maximizes your shock absorption and minimizes your braking, so you're not a start-stop runner on every stride. But when someone decides to run barefoot, and they like to train this way, is they like to completely avoid hitting their heel, because that is a big, thick bone that doesn't have any shock absorption properties. Problem is people learn to toe strike. And the big issue with this, so first, the change in shoes doesn't fix the problem. People just end up heel striking in a shoe that's supposed to be fixing the run form. And then the barefoot runners that try to learn from barefoot running swing this leg through, and they end up toe striking. So we go from one to the other extreme, and we miss that middle portion, which is learning how to absorb through that whole leg and worry about the knee position. So when a barefoot striker comes down, what they end up doing is they have to load hard down onto their Achilles, and they smash that heel to the ground. And as it comes towards push-off, let's see if I can get the treadmill moving, they release all that stored tension in their Achilles in the push-off, and it's kind of like a diving board. Imagine for a second you're standing on the edge of the diving board, you walk up to the end, you jump down, the diving board bends, and then releases that tension back up into the air. That's what's happening when we see a lot of people try to learn how to midfoot strike by barefoot running. They come down hard on the front of the foot, they load their diving board. When they come back towards push-off, they throw themselves up in the air. The ability to midfoot strike comes down to really one or two main things. But the thing I want you to understand is it's all about that swing phase. You have to teach yourself, as this leg pushes off and comes through, how to stop the swing comfortably so it doesn't feel like you're super stiff and, tense and rigid, and land on a nice soft landing with the knee bent. By doing that, you're gonna stop breaking less. You're gonna break less in every stride. You're going to engage your natural rubber bands, which are your muscles and your tendons, so you can spring a little bit more into your next step. There's just so many benefits to this. But here's the kicker. When you transition from this bone bashing heel strike to a softer landing with a nice midfoot, you're going to transition the impact of you hitting the ground from bone to muscle. So you need to think about including exercises, strength exercises, focusing on glute and hip strength, focusing on balance, so that when you make this transition, you just don't get hurt, because you're going to take that load away from the bones, give it to the muscles. If the muscles aren't prepped for that, you're in a lot of trouble. So this is all part of the Midfoot Project. It's a 5-week training program that we have coming up that's going to teach all of this. So if you're interested, go to midfootproject.com, gotta slow down, and learn more about that. And then just start reminding yourself, it's not about toe striking, it's not about heel striking, it's about the middle ground. Learning to land on a soft knee. That's where you're going to be breaking less. That's where you're going to be able to get faster, injured less, and really kind of enjoy your runs, because you're going to be soft. You're going to be absorbing better on every step. And that's going to be a huge payoff for you. So again, midfootproject.com. We're going to be closing up soon, so it's going to be a fun 5 weeks. We have some great runners already coming in and then seeing. So if you're interested, go to midfootproject.com and leave some questions in the comments if you have anything. We're going to come back tomorrow, talk a little bit more about shoes and how that relates to your run form. All right? Have a great day, everyone. Time to go out for a run.